There are no pipes running here, no well pulling water from underground, and the sky hasn't delivered rain for days. Still, by morning the trough slowly fills. Drop after drop falls from a mesh frame leaning quietly in the breeze. It collects through the night without sound, without power, without anyone watching it work. By sunrise there is water sitting there, waiting. Nothing was pumped, nothing was purchased from a utility. It simply condensed out of the air. The entire device that made it happen cost roughly $12. This idea is not new. Engineers documented the principle more than a century ago. Variations of it have been used quietly in places where conventional water systems never fully arrived. Coastal villages in Chile stretch large fog nets across hillsides to capture moisture rolling in from the Pacific. Communities in the mountains of Morocco rely on mesh collectors, where wells produce little during dry seasons. In parts of Ethiopia, similar structures stand in open wind corridors, harvesting droplets from passing fog before the sun burns it away. These systems exist, but they rarely appear in everyday conversations about water. The reason is simple. They are too inexpensive and too straightforward to become large commercial products. Yet the mechanism behind them is something everyone has witnessed countless times. A glass filled with cold water on a warm day quickly becomes covered with droplets. Moisture from the surrounding air gathers on the outside surface until gravity pulls it downward. The same thing happens each morning when grass appears wet, even though it never rained overnight. Dew settles across leaves, soil, and spiderwebs stretched between branches. The air itself was carrying that water the entire time. Air always holds moisture in the form of vapor. It is invisible, suspended between molecules of warmer air. But there is a limit to how much moisture air can hold. When temperatures fall far enough, the vapor can no longer remain suspended. That point is known as the dew point. When air encounters a surface that has cooled to that temperature, the vapor changes state. It condenses. The invisible moisture becomes liquid, collecting on the surface that allowed the transition to happen. A dew collector simply creates an efficient surface for that exchange. Instead of waiting for moisture to settle randomly across grass or leaves, the system provides a large mesh area where droplets can form, merge, and roll downward into a container. No electricity is needed, no mechanical parts are involved. Nothing spins, compresses, or pumps. The structure stands quietly while the night air moves through it. As temperatures fall, condensation begins to form. Tiny droplets appear across the mesh. Eventually, they grow heavy enough to move, sliding downward until they drip from the lower edge. Below that edge sits a small trough waiting to collect what gravity delivers. While you sleep, the atmosphere does the work. What makes this idea particularly interesting is the scale of water suspended above us. At any moment, Earth's atmosphere holds an immense reserve of fresh water in vapor form. Estimates place the total at tens of millions of billions of gallons circulating through the air. More water exists overhead than flows through every river on the planet combined. Yet almost all of it remains uncollected unless it eventually falls as rain. A simple collector changes that relationship slightly. Instead of relying entirely on rainfall or infrastructure, it captures a small portion of what already surrounds us. And building one does not require specialized equipment. A piece of shade cloth mesh forms the working surface. 4 lengths of PVC pipe create a simple rectangular frame. Zip ties hold the mesh under tension. A short plastic gutter catches the water as it drips from the bottom edge. A few bricks or stones tilt the structure toward the wind. That is the entire system. The frame itself does not need to be precise. It only needs to remain upright and stable overnight. Once the mesh is stretched tight across the rectangle, the structure becomes a quiet interface between moving air and gravity. But the effectiveness of the collector depends less on the materials and more on how it is positioned. Because a small change in angle or airflow can determine whether the mesh gathers only a few droplets or produces a steady collection of water by morning. And that positioning is where most first attempts either succeed or fail, which is exactly where the next part begins. The most common mistake people make when building a dew collector is surprisingly simple. They place the mesh flat on the ground and expect it to work. It rarely does. When the surface is flat, droplets gather but have nowhere to go. They pool across the mesh, sit there for a while, and eventually disappear when the morning sun warms the air again. The water returns to vapor before you ever collect it. Angle is what makes the system function. A collector should lean somewhere between 15 and 30 degrees. Not upright like a wall and not flat like a table. Somewhere in between, this gentle tilt allows gravity to assist the process. As droplets form across the mesh, they slowly grow larger. Eventually, they become heavy enough to move. Once they begin sliding, gravity takes over. Each drop travels down the mesh until it reaches the lower edge, where it falls into a waiting trough. From there, it can move into a container, a bottle, or any storage vessel you prefer. The trough itself can be simple. A short length of plastic gutter works perfectly. It sits directly beneath the lowest edge of the mesh frame, catching whatever falls from above. Some people attach a small tube to guide the water into a larger container. Others simply place a jar or bucket underneath. Either approach works. The physics does not require anything complicated. What matters more than the container is where the structure stands. Air movement is essential. The mesh needs air passing through it, not around it. Moisture suspended in the air must actually make contact with the surface if condensation is going to occur. When the collector faces the wind, humid air flows through the mesh and cools slightly against the material. That contact encourages droplets to form. If the collector faces away from the breeze, much of that airflow simply bypasses the surface. Positioning the frame correctly can double the amount of water collected overnight. The best way to determine direction is surprisingly low-tech. Step outside around dusk and simply feel where the evening breeze is coming from. That direction is where the front of the mesh should face. Height also plays a role. Air closer to the ground tends to be warmer and slightly drier. Lifting the collector even a foot or two above the soil exposes it to air that carries more moisture. A few bricks, stones, or short posts are often enough to create the difference. Sunlight is the final factor. Morning sun quickly reverses condensation. As temperatures rise, droplets begin evaporating again. If the collector sits directly in early sunlight, the water may disappear before it has time to drip into the trough. Placing the structure somewhere shaded during the early morning hours gives the droplets more time to collect and fall. Once everything is positioned correctly, the daily routine becomes extremely simple. Place the collector outside before sunset. Return at dawn, that is the entire cycle. During the night, the air temperature slowly drops. The mesh cools along with the surrounding environment. Eventually, the air passing across it reaches the dew point. Moisture begins condensing along the threads of the fabric. Tiny droplets appear across the surface. At first, they are almost invisible, but over time they merge with neighboring droplets, forming larger beads of water. Once they grow heavy enough, they begin sliding downward. Gravity carries them along the angled mesh until they reach the lower edge. Then they fall. What began as invisible vapor drifting through the night air becomes a small supply of liquid water by morning. In average conditions, the results are modest but meaningful. During one early test under ordinary humidity and temperatures in the mid-50s Fahrenheit, the collector produced just over half a liter overnight. No fog, no rainfall, nothing unusual about the weather, just condensation doing what it naturally does. In places where humidity is higher, production increases. Coastal regions, river valleys, and areas where morning fog is common often produce 1 or 2 liters from a collector this size. Scaling the mesh larger multiplies the effect. A 10-foot frame can produce significantly more water using the exact same principle, which raises a practical question. If the atmosphere is providing the water and the system collects it without touching the ground, how clean is that water when it reaches the container? Water that condenses from the atmosphere starts out surprisingly clean. Unlike river water or groundwater, it has not traveled through soil, agricultural fields, or aging infrastructure. It has not carried sediment downstream or absorbed minerals from rock layers underground. In many ways, atmospheric condensation skips several of the complications that make natural surface water difficult to treat, but that does not mean it should be consumed without a second thought. As droplets form on the mesh, they can pick up tiny particles that settle on the material over time. Dust, pollen, or airborne pollutants may cling to the surface and mix with the collected water. In urban environments, traffic emissions or industrial particles can also settle onto exposed surfaces. None of this makes the water unusable. It simply means that a basic filtration step is sensible. Fortunately, the solution is extremely simple. A basic gravity filter can be assembled in a few minutes using common materials. A plastic bottle works well as the container. The bottom is cut away, leaving the neck pointing downward. Inside the bottle, a few simple layers create a filtration path. Cotton or cloth sits at the bottom to catch fine particles. Above that rests a layer of activated charcoal, the same material used in many aquarium filters. Charcoal absorbs many chemical impurities and improves taste. A thin layer of clean sand can sit above the charcoal to catch additional debris, followed by another light layer of cotton at the top. Water poured slowly through this filter passes down through each layer before dripping from the bottle's neck into a clean container. The process removes most particulates and improves the overall quality of the water. For additional safety, boiling the water is always effective. Another common option is adding a single drop of plain, unscented household bleach per liter and allowing the water to sit for about 30 minutes. That small amount is enough to disinfect the supply. Neither method requires special equipment. In practice, the entire treatment process takes only a few minutes. What makes this system interesting is not just its simplicity, but its history. Variations of atmospheric water collection have appeared repeatedly throughout human civilization. In the Andes, ancient communities constructed stone structures positioned to capture moisture from mountain fog. These formations condensed water that could be gathered below. In the Canary Islands, large mesh fog collectors have been used for generations, quietly pulling water from coastal mist rolling across volcanic hillsides. Archaeologists studying certain ancient desert wells now suspect that some were never intended to store groundwater at all. Instead, their design suggests they may have been built specifically to encourage condensation within shaded stone chambers. In other words, people have understood this principle for a very long time. But as modern plumbing systems expanded and centralized water supplies became common, much of that knowledge faded into the background. When water arrives reliably from a tap, few people think about the mechanisms that once made survival possible in dry landscapes. The older ideas simply became unnecessary, yet the physics never changed. Humidity still moves through the air every night. Temperatures still fall after sunset. Condensation still forms wherever conditions allow it. A simple mesh frame leaning in the wind can quietly collect that process. For the cost of a few basic materials and a single afternoon of work, a small piece of that older knowledge becomes practical again. Some people build systems like this for preparedness. Others build them while experimenting with off-grid living. And sometimes curiosity alone is enough reason to try. Whatever the motivation, the principle remains the same. The atmosphere already holds water. All the system does is give it a place to land. And once you begin noticing that exchange happening around you, on glass, on grass, on spiderwebs stretched across morning air, it becomes difficult not to see how often nature offers quiet solutions that require very little input at all.